Rob, do you have a new suite of offices on Dorset Street?
Oh, no, we share an office with our board chair, Jack McMullen.
Okay.
I usually come in here once or twice a week.
Have you been by the new South Burlington City Municipal Building? It's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. No, it's gorgeous. That whole development back there.
Most people still don't know it's there.
Well, I know because a friend of mine was a designer on it. He also did the Winooski development, or the old, what was it, the garment factory or something like that.
Yeah,
Lastly, did he leave his retainers at his upstairs?
yes. He wanted me to put them in his case.
Okay.
Hey, Ed.
Howdy.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I know that Chris Winters is going to be late joining us because of a conflicting or overlapping commitment. So not expecting him until about 30 minutes in. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't see Tom K.
He's in the room.
Aha. There you are.
Yeah.
Well, then why don't we roll? Why don't we get started? Thanks for meeting in this busy week. I'll call the meeting to order. About 20 or 30 minutes ago, I sent around a let me make sure I did. I've had some lapses in getting I made a couple of stumbles typing too quickly on email addresses, but I sent around a proposal for the final, what you might call it, the final sprint on getting the reports done. And I think it may make sense to sort of work off of that proposal, but I'm not sure everyone has seen it. And I also pasted it into the text of the email. Let me just, yeah. And that includes a suggestion for the minutes, which is the next item on our agenda. And it was, since there's I think with Eric Covey's help, we identified about 4 sets of minutes, maybe 5, that have not been finally approved. And my suggestion in my scheduling proposal is for me to complete suggested edits for all of the unapproved minutes by this coming Friday, 2 days from now. And then to fold the approval of those proposed edited minutes into the approval timeline for the House and Senate reports that come into the following week and into the beginning of the next week after that. And some of the minutes have been over the last 12 plus months have been drafted as quite detailed minutes. Some of them are not drafted that way. And I'm not sure which version or which category the unapproved minutes fall into, but we'll try to bring them into some alignment with enough detail so that, as I like to say, people who weren't at the meeting have a decent idea of not only the topics that were addressed, but something about the substance of the discussion. I think that's, if you've ever had to go back and look at old minutes, that tends to be very useful. So, Eric, can you tell me whether we have any public participants in the meeting so far this morning?
I don't see anyone on the participants list.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that would then take us to the substantive part of our agenda, which we just to restate what's happened so far. Yesterday, Rob posted a further draft of the House report. I posted a rough draft of a Senate report. And I apologize, I think that didn't get to Mary last night, but I've sent that to you, Mary, this morning with apologies.
Right, I got it this morning.
And this morning, Jean posted a so-called House Minority Report. My rough draft of a Senate report contains only a placeholder only for the Senate report. Other developments, and when Chris comes, he can maybe give us a little more detail, but I think we are very close. That may be happening later today with the assistance of John Adams, to having the full detail maps for all of the House and Senate map versions that we completed available and on the website. So I think that if that's all reasonably accurate, I think that brings us to how we get across the proverbial finish line to on House reports and Senate reports. And I'll just read through my proposal in that regard, with the proviso that it's a aggressive or challenging schedule, but I think that that's what we have in front of us. It notes that what's been filed and posted to date, it proposes that for Friday, December 24th, that I would complete the proposed edits of all of the unapproved minutes and post those, and there would be a draft posted of a Senate Minority Report for Monday, the 27th at noon. Would be a deadline for board members to share proposed edits on the minutes and all of the report drafts that have been filed, or in the case of the Senate Minority Report, will be filed. That's Monday, the 27th at noon. Wednesday, the 29th, 5 p.m. I circulate what I hope will be final versions of all of the above, but giving members until 5 o'clock on Friday, the 31st, to suggest one more round of edits on all of the above and to schedule a meeting. Eric, is Monday, January 3, a state employee day off?
I don't believe it is.
All right, so then that would be my proposal for 10 a.m. to convene a meeting of the board to vote to approve the final reports. And I picked that date because I really think it's important for the integrity and of our process and our output to get those done before the legislature convenes. And it's not on my proposed schedule, but I think it may make sense for us to have an understanding about a point person for the reports, sort of what I would loosely call the majority and minority reports. So there's one person there who's sort of in charge of that. And finally, I know that we've disagreed on some important issues, and I know we've disagreed with spirit and passion about them, but I'm committed to continuing the spirit of being able to disagree without being disagreeable, and to be civil and kind with each other. That's certainly my goal as we try to march through this next 12 days. So I'll open the floor up for commentary and discussion about all of that.
I think the
Now calling
calendar's-
it, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead, Mary, please.
I was just being smart saying, are we now calling this the 12 days of reapportionment?
That's very good. Kudos to Mary on that.
Yeah, I think that should definitely go in the minutes. But I was going to say I think this calendar looks fine. I don't know that it looks terribly aggressive. I mean, I have to admit, I've not sort of rolled up my sleeves and gone into the House report to see how much work remains there, but this seems sane.
Okay. And I was going to suggest, I was going to volunteer Rob and Jean to be the point persons for those respective portions, because I think they have thankfully taken it upon themselves to be doing that anyway. But it really helps when you're the draft person to get some input from others. It keeps your morale up, and somebody's looking at what you've done, even if all you're saying is, I'm looking at it tonight and I'll email you in the morning. And I don't have any comment, good job, or here are my suggestions. That really makes a difference in the motivation and morale of people who are drafting.
Tom, I just wanted to clarify one thing. So at least the way that I'm reading this is, these are the sort of penciled in deadlines for getting back and forth on these various documents, but the only meeting we have on here is on January 3rd.
That's the proposal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's fine for me.
And
I
I guess
think it works for me.
who was that? Rob?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I said, I think that works for me.
Okay.
I think my son is kicking us out of the house at some point to bring his friends in to ski. That's the only thing I can think of that might interfere.
Why don't you let them take a look at the draft too?
Oh, believe me. I'd love to.
Mr. K,
Yes, sir.
what say you about all of this?
Well, I think that's fine. The only negative I would say is don't expect to hear from me by December 24th.
And Ed, was your comment your only comment? Do you think this is a reasonable layout of a schedule?
Yes.
Okay. So that's really what I wanted to accomplish today, is just to get clear on this schedule and then turn people loose to start working on it. We can have some discussion about what's been filed so far, or people can raise questions about that, but I also want to be mindful of everyone's time and want to keep the people who are working on the drafts free to do that. Eric, do you have anything to add from the standpoint of the Secretary of State's office moving forward?
I'm not sure if I'm the best to update. Mia might be the best to update, but some of the behind the scenes mapping work for what the legislature still needs from us continues to roll on for us to provide them quality data alongside the reports. So that's all happening on base. I don't have a ton of the details, but I know based on some emails I saw this morning that it's all going well.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna take another look at what I got from Chris this morning. Jeremy, I got a note from Chris Winters saying, says, I think the bottom line is that the maps will be done soon, perhaps even today, by John Adams. He goes on to say there's some missing data, and then parens, unpopulated blocks, question mark, close paren, that's Chris will point out to Jeremy. So keep an eye out for a note or a message from Jeremy. I'm sorry, from Chris Winters.
Yeah, I just got that email from him at about 9:30, so I haven't had a chance to dive in
okay.
and spend any time with it, but I will look at that.
I mean, I don't know if there's a way to find out how many census blocks there are in the entire state of Vermont, but if there's a few that are, it doesn't surprise me at all that there are some inadvertent blanks in that regard, that or that the Census Bureau data may have something like that in it.
So there shouldn't be any missing census blocks that are not in a district that I checked for. What I'm guessing is happening is some of these like river blocks that have zero population, if they're on one side of the river or not, whether or not they were in a particular town or not, it could be that there were zero population census blocks in Winooski that I inadvertently assigned to a Burlington district. I assume that's what he's talking about, and that can, I mean, if it's our official approved version, we want to make sure it's like Burlington is Burlington, Winooski is Winooski, which is why like there's that weird Lake Champlain census block that belongs to South Burlington, even though it just destroys contiguity compactness calculations. It's just weird. So yeah, I think I'll just have to go look back at the list that he sent me and see if I can massage it.
Yeah, Jeremy, there are a few of those that I noticed when I was going through the stats for the written report, and yes, it is Winooski, because I noticed that there's like at least one of the Winooski districts says Winooski Burlington. And if you look on the spreadsheet, you'll be able to figure it out. Williston and South Burlington as well. We have a list that says that there's like 3 Williston Essex or Williston South Burlington districts. And that's just, there's a Williston Essex district, but everything else it's got to be a river. Because it says nobody there. It says that there's nobody in one of those towns, but it's still listed as a 2-town district.
That should be pretty easy to sort out then.
Yeah, if you look at the spreadsheet, you'll be able to figure it out.
Okay.
Rob? Sorry,
Yeah.
when you say the spreadsheet, is this something you guys have internally, or is this something that is,
No, it's what the Secretary of State's office posted. There's a list of all the, if you look, if they have the individual maps of
yeah,
each district, there's a spreadsheet that says what towns are in it, and then the
well,
link.
it's like, it's a PDF though, right? It's not an Excel spreadsheet. That's what you're talking about, right? The
I was just-
table, it's like
Yeah,
a
it's a table.
table. Yeah, it's a table. Okay, no, that's fine. There's a table that lists by district and there's a table that lists by town.
Yeah,
That's what you're
and this
talking
is the
about, right?
district. And when I look at the district, because it has all the towns in the district,
Yeah,
and that's where you'll catch it, because it'll say like South Burlington, 4,200, Essex, 0, but it still lists the 2 towns as in there.
there are definitely a lot of census blocks with 0 people in them. There's no question about that, like a large number. So it wouldn't surprise me if something gets grabbed and you're thinking, well, that's not more population, so you don't take it out, but it's really from somewhere you didn't intend. I have a question that's sounds a little random, but I was reviewing going through some of the information, and I can't remember, Tom, maybe you're the best, Tom Little, you're the best person to ask, if we ever in fact did hear from Derby.
Well, let me think. I had some back and forth for about 2 weeks with officials from Derby and Newport City,
Right.
and who were saying that they never got the package for their boards of civil authority and didn't know about the opportunity to comment and file a report. I worked with the Secretary of State's office, and I think we essentially confirmed that we had sent those materials to 2 email addresses associated with those 2 places that were the official email addresses that have been provided for them. The concern in Newport City seemed to be a concern that there was a proposed split of the city on Prouty Drive. And I believe that was not in fact the case. There was no proposal to split an easterly portion of Newport City and put it into a district outside of Newport City. And I think they ultimately came to that, they agreed with that and are okay. I don't have a good recall of exactly what Derby's concern was about, but I'm not sure that they ultimately have a concern based upon the district proposed for them. But there was clearly some confusion at their end over the communication. And we resent everything as soon as we found out about this. And I don't think and I'll ask Eric and then Chris to get back to us. I don't think we ever received anything from those boards of civil authority.
I thought Derby did end up, or sorry, not Derby, Newport did end up submitting something.
Okay,
If,
All right,
if they did, it's not in the official tally of 200
Eric, can you repeat that?
PCAs.
It's very possible they did not. I could be misremembering.
I know we got correspondence
Okay.
from them. Well, Eric, what I'd ask, just double check the incoming through that pipeline and see what you find for either of those municipalities and let us know.
Yes, I just have from the city of Newport.
Yeah. That was my recollection as well, that after the back and forth, because Tom and I had been at the meeting with organized or proposed by Representative Sims. There was a meeting and some people from the general region were there, and that's where this topic arose, I'm pretty sure, Tom, that there was a anyway, so I remember the sequence of events there, and I remember getting something from Newport City, and I just couldn't tell. It appears we haven't gotten anything from Derby. I just wanted to check. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, minor matters. Who has editorial control over the whole document?
well, Tom, it's my intention that the board does, and that's why I've tried to put in as many points of editing from the whole group as we can squeeze into the time remaining and have it subject to a vote.
I'm asking about who actually makes the entries with the computer.
Well, I suppose the way this is laid out, it would be me, and I would be having someone from the Secretary of State's office proof it.
Reason I ask, there's one construction in here that's driving me nuts. And that's to not accept something or to not do something. And it gives me the feeling of a negative motion. And I wonder if we could do a universal search and replace find to not, change it to not to.
You go from to not to?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on it.
Thank you.
That's something they drilled into you at the University of Chicago School of Law, Tom?
8th grade.
8th grade, okay. That's the time to learn it, that's for sure. Mary, anything from you today? Anything more from you?
Schedule looks fine to me.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm perfectly willing to call for unanimous consent to adjourn this meeting now, but I don't want to, if there's anyone who would like to speak or ask a question.
I'll say for the House report that I sent around last night, any feedback would be most welcome. I feel like I've kind of taken it as far as my abilities will allow me to. So the lawyers in the group who can, add their input would be terrific. And Jeremy, if there's anything that I've missed statistically on the mapping, please bring that to my attention and we can get it polished up.
Yeah, and one thing a reminder about our open meeting mandate, if you have a set of edits or comments that you want to post to the entire board, please do so, but don't use that, don't engage in a sort of a answer and reply and further answer and reply process that looks like we're an email online debate, because has to be reserved for a noticed meeting. If you want to engage more in a debate or a colloquy with someone, please do so, but just make sure it's more of a one-on-one situation or a 1-to-2 situation. So, but I thank you for mentioning that, Rob, and I will just I will underscore the importance for the people who are doing this drafting, myself included, to get feedback of any kind is very, very useful, because when you've been working on a drafting project this long, it's easy to not be able to see stuff anymore very clearly. And a fresh set of eyes is very helpful.
Like some of the legal stuff that was taken from the 2012 report that I was just riffing off of, like I crossed out a bunch of stuff that I think is irrelevant
Okay.
to today's report, but it may be relevant. And, from a lawyer's standpoint, you can say, oh, no, you gotta put that in there. Or I may have left something in there from 2012 that we don't need anymore. Those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for.
Good.
Just to follow up on that, Rob, I don't want to speak for Tom Koch, but I'm not a lawyer for the board. And I don't want to speak for Tom Little either. I'm definitely going to take a look, and I appreciate you doing the heavy lifting, but I don't want anything to be construed as legal advice or other than, no, seriously, other than sort of copy editing.
Yeah, no, I hear exactly where you're coming from, Ed, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, just, it's a different set of eyes from a different perspective as a board member, not as somebody to be legally liable for what's put forward.
That's totally fair.
Right.
Anything else? Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of the week. Stay safe and warm, and stay in touch.
Merry Christmas.
We'll
Thanks,
see you.
everybody.
Merry
Holidays.
Christmas.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.